So much to discuss when it comes to this. We're joined now by someone with an intimate knowledge of how things work inside the Manhattan District Attorney's office, and that is Jeremy Saland. He worked as an assistant district attorney in Manhattan for 7 years before current DA Alvin Bragg's tenure. So happy. Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. So listen, we heard yesterday from Mr. Costello. We heard from Mr. Cohen as well. Michael Cohen was expected to go in yesterday to rebut what Costello said, but prosecutors determined somehow it wasn't necessary. Does this speak to anything that we should be looking forward to in the future, that possibly what Costello actually had to say didn't affect what Alvin Bragg and his investigators believe about this investigation?
Well, the grand jury has the right to call a witness. So they very well say, today we want to hear from Michael Cohen or hear from another witness. They have that ability to call for whatever testimony they think is important.
Yeah. I want to play this. This is what Costello had to say about Michael Cohen after testifying yesterday. Watch this.
The only thing I'm doing is trying to tell the truth to the grand jurors. Listen, if they want to go after Donald Trump and they have solid evidence, so be it. But Michael Cohen is far from solid evidence. This guy, by any prosecutor's standard, and I used to be deputy chief of the criminal division in the Southern District of New York, I wouldn't have touched a guy like Michael Cohen, especially if he's a convicted perjurer.
Listen, Michael Cohen did plead guilty, right? Went to jail. But also, Robert Costello has credibility issues as well. He's mentioned in the Mueller report his role in this whole hush money investigation and cover-up as well. He has credibility issues. So why on earth would they call him to testify?
Everyone's going to have credibility issues sort of when you're in this arena. There's a term swamp that's been thrown around, but if you're going to get evidence against those who are involved in these allegations, that's what you're going to get. You're not going to find a choir boy. You're going to find somebody who's immersed in it, and those people, unfortunately, may have some baggage.
Yeah. So we've heard from, at least the reporting is that Stormy Daniels, right, has appeared before the grand jury, at least by Zoom. Not sure if there's testimony, but saying that she would be available, she and her attorneys, that she would be available. We've heard from Michael Cohen. We've heard from Robert Costello and others. This appears to be wrapping up. Everyone wants to know when it's going to happen. What is the timeline? Is it going to be today? Is it tomorrow? Is it next week? Having worked in the DA's office, is it possible to put a date or a time on that?
Within reason, there is. This is an ongoing investigation. It's not a reactive investigation. It's proactive. So the DA's office should really know at this point, and in fact, well before, who is going to testify and what, if anything, is going to happen to throw that off course. So I'd expect that they should be summing up or wrapping up soon. And then once that happens, it becomes a procedural issue. The indictment is filed, and ultimately they reach out to the team for Trump to take those next steps.
You say wrapping up soon. So what are the considerations now? If you're looking at someone who has insider knowledge, if you're looking at what is playing out, seeing Costello and Cohen, et cetera, go in, what is happening inside of the office right now?
I expect that all the evidence that they've wanted to present, they meaning the district attorney's office, has been presented. And if anything, for lack of a term, rebuttal or to clarify or to bolster, if that's the right term we want to use here, the credibility or what may have happened, that's going to come out now. But again, it's the grand jury's determination to decide what witnesses, if anything, they want to hear. But once that's wrapped up, the DA's office is ready to make those next steps.
Jeremy, is it the grand jury's determination? Because the grand jury vote to indict Donald Trump and then Alvin Bragg say, even with that, I'm not going to do it?
Once a grand jury indicts, or what's we call a true bill, they have to take that next step. Ultimately, the DA's office can decide what they want to do going forward, but once there's an indictment, it has to proceed.
Yeah. Here's the thing. This investigation has been called a zombie case. Everyone thought that after Cy Vance, that nothing was going to happen, that nothing would happen for so long under the current DA, Alvin Bragg, nothing happened. So what happened? How is this resuscitated or resurrected?
Well, the argument from the DA's office is that it wasn't resuscitated. It's been going on all along. It's an ongoing investigation. These things don't happen overnight. It takes time to develop. There's those who will argue that there was political pressure with the Pomerantz book and what's happening sort of socially. But the DA's office will take the position that we've always been doing our due diligence. This is about justice. This isn't about politics. And now we're at the point where you have to move it forward.
Yeah. If you're looking at this, people are expecting, will Donald Trump be handcuffed? Are we going to see him in a jumpsuit and what have you? It doesn't really work that way, especially when you have a high-profile defendant. Unless he wants to be paraded in front of cameras, there are means and efforts to sort of mitigate that, possibly going in, probably through an underground entrance and having this sort of expedited about him My reporting is seeing a judge and doing it quickly, having the process play out quickly so that he doesn't have to be photographed or seen doing any of these things.
Well, he shouldn't be photographed once he's inside the building, but he'll be taken in like
Except for a mugshot.
Well, that absolutely. He'll be taken in. There will be a mugshot. There'll be a fingerprint. And then they're going to expedite him and walk him to the courtroom. He'll have to walk down the hallway unless for some reason they decide to bring him up through the judicial areas. So there's a separate set of elevators he can come up through. But otherwise, he's going to be brought in like anybody else. And to your point, he may very well want to be seen. He very well want to make this an issue that there can be a public showing or display where he can make sort of a statement. But in court, I would expect he'd be relatively quiet, and his attorney will be doing most of the talking.
So you think they'll expedite the court process of seeing of the judge part of it, right? Because that can take some time.
It can take some time, but they have to wait for the fingerprints. They, meaning law enforcement, has to wait for the fingerprints to get back. But yeah, it should move pretty quickly and efficiently. There's no reason to keep him there, especially with security risks and the concern that obviously the NYPD has.
Are we talking hours?
Hours from time of print, very well, potentially. But once he's in front of the judge, that's pretty quick. I mean, I wouldn't say snap of the fingers, but it could be a matter of minutes.
Jeremy Saland, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I appreciate it. Have a good day. Caitlin?